Check one, you know what it is, it's Mikey Assassin. Today I'm gonna play some dancehall music, I'm gonna play some retro, 80s music, and I'm gonna keep the vibes rolling for you today. So you can call us up and let me know how the vibes is on the outside. I wanna big up everybody inside England, big up everybody inside Germany, big up the whole of Brooklyn, 90s. You don't know what it is. We're gonna give you some bad music today, all right? I've been DJing since like 1976 till now. I went to school for broadcasting. I went into the military, I DJ'd in the military. So everywhere I've been DJing. I mean, music's been part of my life, most of my life. It's the place where I can come and be me. I mean, what I do is play music for people, I entertain people. When I'm here at Soundcheck, it takes my mind off of what's going on or what I'm going through daily, and I just deal with what I gotta do here. My mom's is from Cuba by way of Jamaica, and my father's from Jamaica. They bought the house in 1963. My mom, when she first got this place, I think she said she got it for like $23,000. She told me when she bought it, she had no money to even come home. You know, the lawyer had to lend her money to get home. It was reasonable when she got it. I mean, we held on to it from that time until I got evicted.
In the summer of 2022, Michael Baker was evicted from his family's home in Brownsville, Brooklyn. He is one of thousands of homeowners who have lost their properties to a whole complex of confidence scams, collectively known as deed theft. At a forum in late 2022, hosted by the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office, DA Eric Gonzalez described how people running confidence scams will target homeowners behind on the mortgage or taxes and trick them into turning over their deeds.
And before you know it, you've transferred title, you've done something silly, you've taken money that's not anywhere near the value of your home, and they tell you, oh, don't worry, we're gonna sell it back to you. But of course, that's not in writing, or you don't have your own lawyer, and you're using their lawyers, and you've been defrauded.
Not long before that, a hearing on deed theft was convened by the New York State Senate's Committee on Housing, Construction, and Community Development.
You're going to hear testimony from individuals and their representatives who have been impacted by deed theft, and also various public agencies and legal service providers who are involved in trying to bring justice to the people who have lost title to their own property as a result.
Deed theft itself is nothing new. It's really in the long line of threatening homeownership of people of color, and particularly African Americans. Because half the time, the victims of deed theft sit there and have no clue that they just signed over the deed, because they're confronted with a big stack of papers and, flip, 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 sign here, sign here.
These actors know that that person is underwater, the person is vulnerable. Just like all scams, they can take advantage of the emotional distress that someone is under, and they can say, I can help you get out from under this debt. I can get access, I can fix this foreclosure for you, when really they're going to take their deed out from under them, or they're going to pay them, pennies on the dollar of what that home is worth.
Because not only have these thieves stolen our homes, not only have they stolen our equity, they have stolen our lives. And no component in our government system should allow for this. So the reason why this is such a problem is because it has disproportionately affected Black and Brown communities. They have been preyed upon, thousands of homes lost, millions of dollars taken.
According to the city's Department of Finance, between the summer of 2014 and early 2022, there were more than 3,350 complaints of deed theft in New York City. Almost half of them were in Brooklyn.
I'm the third generation from Bed-Stuy. It went from my grandfather to my father to me. At the time, I'm 58, I want to retire give my son a college education, I decided to sell my property.
Over $1 million was taken from my properties. I saw none of that.
Some random person one day, a guy, unannouncedly just came to our doorstep, knocked on our home, and he gave us a card, like a envelope that was ripped and written on it, "Oh, this is my home. We purchased this home and on etc. date, and y'all have to leave this home soon because I have my inspectors coming."
Oh, please. Every time my lawyer said we gotta meet, it's $5,000. Next time I see you, you ain't getting a dime until you give me some results. Because my faith in lawyers is shot. 2 title companies, 2 lawyers, 2 investors, they all beat me. They was all in on it.
I'm not giving up my property. I'll fight to the end, whatever it takes.
My name is Michael Baker. I live in Brooklyn, New York, 435 Herzl Street, from 1963. My moms and pops bought that house. There's 2 phases of me growing up in this neighborhood. When I was younger, I was mostly going to school and coming home, playing basketball across the street. The neighborhood at one time was drug infested. The area cleaned up then, and we have different races of people living in the neighborhood. It was predominantly black before, but now, it's integrating with a lot of, people are moving in. Basically, my father was running the house. He was fighting with the house to maintain the house. My mom's died December 2010. My dad died December 2014.
So I met Michael Baker in the summer of 2021. My impression was that it's too late, but he wanted us to continue working with him. I wanted to continue helping him in any way that we could. And part of the reason was that I recognized some of the parties in the scam from prior work.
Good morning. My name is Arthur Burkle. I'm a senior staff attorney at the Neighborhood Economic Justice Project at Brooklyn Legal Services. The goal of our work at the NEAJP is to keep homeowners at home. The sheer number of scams, the number of victims that we see ourselves, and the variety of forms that these scams and frauds take shocks me again and again. Now, my testimony today is grounded in the case of a homeowner whose home was taken through a vicious fraud. His family had owned their home in Brownsville for over 60 years, had paid off the mortgage. The family home was a source of emotional and financial stability. It was their home. It was their roots. My client lived in the home since he was 2 years old, his whole life. My client was vulnerable to a gang of deed theft scammers because the property had tax arrears.
My father was running the house. I knew about the tax issue right before he was getting ready to pass. It was behind almost 40, maybe 45, I think, around there.
The total tax arrears were approximately $40,000, which is really not a lot considering that the property was worth likely over $700,000 and that there was no mortgage on the property. In relation to the value of the property, not a significant number.
Michael wanted to borrow against the equity to pay off the tax arrears and to make renovations.
Went to some friends, took me to some people because I couldn't get a loan because I wasn't working, credit score.
He didn't know about the legal services network or housing counseling agencies or legitimate funding sources that could have helped him pay off the arrears easily. Instead, he was presented a scheme by a real estate operator to pay off the liens. And I should note that the scammers told him, don't trust anyone else, trust us because we're Jamaican like you.
Took it to some people, saying that the only way I could get the money was to sign over my deed. Sign over my deed in the intention of getting a loan for some money to pay off the water taxes, pay off the lien, and repair the house.
Michael received about $175,000 out of a promised $400,000 loan. He paid off the property's debts and made the repairs, but never saw any of the rest of the money.
The key moments are the transaction, the closing, where he transfers the title to his property to the first LLC. The second biggest moment in his case is when he's told by the parties involved in that transaction that the bank had rescinded the loan and that he had lost his property.
So now, what happens to all the equity that my mom's had in that house from 1963 to now, which we never borrowed no money from? And now I'm out in the street and I have no property. And nobody can answer to me. Nobody can say nothing.
As in so many stories of deed theft, Michael's followed a long and convoluted path that included several shadowy legal entities and lenders.
The attorney that was on the contract of sale between Michael and the LLC was someone Michael never met. This attorney never advised Michael, never told him about his rights or the risks in this type of transaction.
The first attorney referred Michael to another, who charged him a high fee, and then, when she filed suit on his behalf, failed to include some of the key scammers.
The communication was like crazy. Every time I tried to talk to her, she would, get real angry and like you can't talk to her or say anything to her. So only reason why I didn't move from her is because if I moved from her, I had no money to pay a next lawyer because she took $15,000 up front. She's not going to give me back no money to find the next lawyer. So where was I going to find the next lawyer? So I rolled with her. I rolled the dice with her where she threw me under the bus.
That second attorney was being prosecuted by the Queens District Attorney for grand larceny. The first attorney never informed Michael that not only is this my colleague, but she's being sued for malpractice, she's being prosecuted for theft, but here you go, good luck. That attorney really damaged Michael's case, almost irreparably so.
When it all spun around, I knew that I was going to eventually get evicted if I didn't get any help within the case.
On July 6, 2022, after more than 4 years of feeling misled and exploited, of failed civil and housing court cases, of a never-ending threat to his home and to his equity, Michael was evicted.
When the marshal arrived, we were still in the building because we was expecting the marshals to arrive. I was on the phone with the Brooklyn DA at the time. I was on the phone with Arthur at the time to see if we could stop the eviction. Well, the marshal was like, you gotta go, you know what it is. And then he said there was nothing that he could do because that was his job to do. He had the locksmith here. They throw me out on my street for a house that I own. I'm not getting any money, and I'm now homeless. I left a lot of stuff behind. I'm a DJ, so I have a collection of records worth a whole lot of money. I left furniture in there. I mean, we've been living here for almost 59 years. I had a family downstairs. They had to leave. I had a family upstairs that have been with me for maybe 13, 14, 15 years. They had to move. Then I had my niece that was living with me because she had just had a baby, my grandnephew. So she had to leave with her son. And then my son was staying with me downstairs, so he had to leave also and go back to his mom's. I was bouncing around from friends. I had a couple of friends. I stayed there. A couple of nights I couldn't get nobody to stay, so I, kind of sat on a park bench for a little bit. Eventually, a friend of mine said, all right, you could come stay with me for a little bit. So I ended up staying in the basement on the same block that I lived. So it was good for me that I could get to keep an eye on the property and still be on the block.
There are programs in place meant to educate and protect homeowners at risk. New York's legislature has passed some laws aimed at slowing down deed theft, but the people hoping to end it say it's a deeply systemic problem that demands heightened awareness, more resources, and tougher laws.
One of the unfortunate characteristics of deed theft is that there's so many actors at so many junctures that allow for it to take place. So it's not just the individual who is misrepresenting themselves to the owner who may be in financial distress. There are actors within the court system that have to sign off on these deals. There are notary publics who have to literally sign on the deal. There are law enforcement entities. There is the legal academy. Many people bear responsibility for what we have seen happen.
When we refer deed theft cases to the district attorney, we are always aware that they themselves are underfunded or lack the resources to really pursue some of these cases like this one, primarily because it's not a very clear criminal act.
Those are very difficult cases to prove in court because, quite frankly, it's your word versus their word. And often they have documents with your actual signature. It wasn't a forgery. You actually signed those documents.
And that's one of the gaps in our enforcement system and the laws that we have, because there was money exchanged here. So from the district attorney's point of view, it's a civil issue. It's a bad deal, a deal gone wrong. You have recourse in the civil court system. Go sue these people. But we can't prosecute them for being savvy investors. And this is something that the scammers really take advantage of.
What would help all of the law enforcement individuals to go after deed thieves would be strengthening our business practice law. And it's our general business law 349 that right now only prohibits deceptive acts and practices. Many other states in the country, in addition to deceptive, add unfair.
It's really long overdue. 40 other states have the unfair and abusive claims in their statute, but not New York.
Like my grandfather, he's 81 years old. He took care of the house. I'm talking insulating the walls, gutting it out, insulating it, making sure everything is great.
He pays the bills, right?
Pays the bills.
That's right. He pays the bills.
Every 3 to 4 months I was paying over $2,000 in taxes, over $1,100 in insurance, and all of the other house bills. My brother-in-law is gone, and my sister is gone, and I'm running out of steam. I need a place to live.
It's inhumane to know that people have their properties and losing them because people is trying to be lucrative and making money. You heard he said it? He said he's running out of steam.
Don't give up,
But he can't give up.